So today is a big day. It is election day, an extremely important day in the history of the United States, I want to say, because it really is. I hope that you're all watching. At the same time, I hope that you've all voted, because if you haven't voted and you're sitting here watching, I suggest you put me on pause and no filter and my special guest and run and vote, because she would want that. She absolutely would. My guest today is a funny, she's brutally honest, and I mean brutal, but that's my type of woman. That's why I absolutely love her. And she's, for the past 5 years, become more vocal and has been more informed of what's going on in the political stratosphere than anyone I know. So for this very important day, I got a very important guest. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea Handler. Chelsea!
Hi!
Hi,
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I mean, you know, diarrhea and suicidal, but other than that, I'm fine.
Listen, I know you're extremely busy, and I know this is a huge day, and I thank you so much for being able to fit no filter into your busy schedule. I got to ask the first question. Have you voted, Chelsea?
Yes, I vote in person. I have the privilege of being a white person who lives in Los Angeles, so it's very easy for me to go into my polling station and vote. Now, unlike a lot of different areas in the rest of the country, it's not an issue for me. So yes, I cast my ballot this morning first thing. My sister Brandon and I went down and we voted and we voted and we voted for Biden and Kamala Harris.
Okay. Now, I mean, you just said something that I cannot ignore. When you said, you know, because you're blonde and you're white and it's easier for you to vote, meaning, could you go further into detail with what's happening so everyone in the world can understand what's really happening?
Yeah, absolutely. The Republicans in this country run on a platform of voter suppression. And that means young people, that means Black and brown people, that means any person of color. So they want less voices to be heard. So their strategy, which they used to lie about, but now they're vocal about, is voter suppression. So there's gerrymandering, which is a process where they, you know, block off districts based on how they section off districts based on if there are Black and brown people in that district and they know they're going to lean Democrat, they make sure that they're combined with enough Republicans that they are counted in a Republican county so that they're overwhelmingly Republican. So it's a little bit of a tricky process to understand, but it's on the ballot this election because we can take away gerrymandering. Democrats don't want any voter suppression. Democrats want every voice heard and they want every vote counted. Republicans are arguing, no, we have to stop counting the votes after election day. Too many votes, too many votes. It's called fucking democracy, and we will not stop until every vote is counted.
So let's start from the beginning. I mean, I respect you a lot. You have been using your voice on so many issues in the past 5 years, and it's, you know, you probably was out there on your own in a lot of them, and it's like, for me, I have so much respect for you. You're the type of woman that I respect, that will get up out there, speak for what you believe in, whether you're on your own or not, and just keep on and consistently keep on saying what you feel is right. We did something together, but not together, virtually together, with the naked ballot. Can you explain to people about this naked ballot?
Yeah, in Pennsylvania, they want to make it hard for you to return your ballot. So they look for the Republican strategy is basically, since we're being ruled by a minority, we're being ruled by an old white supremacy hierarchy. So all these old 80-year-old gross senators who are too old to be in office are making laws for the next generations and the next generations by packing the court, you know, by every kind of oppression that they can legally get away with, and flipping the rules and taking the advantage. I mean, the hypocrisy is boundless. So we are in a situation where we have to vote in people that look like the country we live in. That means Black, brown, trans, women. We need women in leadership roles. So what's happening in Pennsylvania specifically is they want to just reject the ballots. They want an excuse to say this signature doesn't match this signature. You didn't put this ballot in the bigger ballot and then mail that in, and it's called a naked ballot. Right. So it's called a naked ballot. If you get it without it, they can say, oh, that's a naked ballot. We're throwing that away. So your vote is being thrown away if everything doesn't line up, which is bullshit. I mean, people don't have the same signature.
So what happened to just going and putting your vote in the box? That seems to be the only way you know if you got it right. But sounds like even if you do that with a naked ballot, it could be also thrown out, right?
It could be also thrown out, but there are very specific instructions. A lot of videos have been made explaining to Pennsylvanians exactly what to do. And Pennsylvanians are smart and they know that they're being manipulated. And this is how a minority rules. You know, we have this minority rule. Most of the country is democratic. We're just being oppressed. And most, you know, everyone, the votes are being suppressed. And so once we are all heard, and what, you know, COVID, the silver lining of COVID, which there aren't fucking many, is that people, you know, that the vote-in, you know, mail-in ballots have become a thing now. The safest way to not go into the polls and to subject yourself or put yourself at risk for catching COVID is mailing in your ballot.
Would you not say the year 2020 is really the year for freeing oppression? I mean, it really seems to be that worldwide. You just look at what's going around the world.
Yeah, I think it's a global thing for sure. But I think America has a big reconciliation. You know what I mean? We have a lot of history that we need to fucking talk about more.
From the beginning. It needs to be from the beginning. So we're going to start from the beginning, talking about the beginning. Like, where were you born? Where did you grow up? I want to know everything. Everyone wants to know.
I was born in New Jersey, and my parents I was the youngest of 6 kids. My parents were useless. One of them was a used car dealer, and my mother slept all the time like a cat. And I was kind of raised by my band of brothers and sisters. So it was just, I was like a little wild thing, and I never got untamed. You know what I mean?
What were you like as a child? You were wild.
I was like this, but more obnoxious. You know, I knew as soon as I was born, I was like, oh my God, I have an opinion and I need to share it with everybody, whether they want to hear about it or not. I was like, I'm going to fucking tell people what's going on. I'm going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to ever lie to you. I'm going to tell the truth. And when I screw up, I'm going to apologize, which is a new thing I've learned. And that's empowering.
You've always had guts. You've always had guts, and you seem to always have instinct.
Yeah, guts and instinct and a lot of misplaced self-confidence. You know, the self-confidence comes and goes, I think, in life. You go through bursts of it. I'm sure you can relate to that, right? Where you go through periods.
Well, it's like for me, it's just all instinct. I mean, I don't even know about the confidence part. I just go on the instinct. Can we just roll that into one?
Yeah, right. Well, they're related.
But I mean, when did you sense that it was going to be comedic, or was it not comedic? Was it just you wanted to be an actress? How did the arts come into your life?
I think I just wanted to be seen. You know what I mean? I wanted to be heard. I wanted people to know my name. And it was a thirst for recognition. You know, I just wanted, I don't know for what at that point, but I did have a desire to be like a public figure. You know, I wanted to be famous. And I was a little girl, and I was like, oh, if I could just move to LA, everything will work out. And you know what? It did work out because of a lot of a privilege. You know, you could attribute it to talent or not talent, but at a certain point, you have to take
Chelsea Handler, you're talented. You have a gift. Don't ever underestimate that. Never. You have a gift. You give us joy when we're in dark times. And just like, even just feeling your energy through WhatsApp is like, I feel it all the way over. I feel it. It's great. You just get it done. We like this. I like that type of person. And I know everyone who watches this show has like that type of person, because that's the kind of person I am too. It's the best way. Just get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I don't have time for bullshit. Like, I'm fucking 45. Let's get the show on the road, everybody. Everybody look alert, look alive, and let's get it together.
Look alive. I love that. Love that. So looking alive, when did you visualize, want to be on TV?
Well, you know what happened is I was 21 and I got a DUI when I was 21 years old. And I got into this big fight with the police officer. I called him a racist. Meanwhile, we were both white, so I don't know what I was talking about. But I ended up having to go to these DUI classes, and where you have to get up and publicly speak and tell your story. You know, it's kind of like a shame thing.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous.
How many of those do you have to do? Just 1 or 2?
No, like you have to go for like 8 weeks.
Okay,
And
I had to do a week community service, but damn, 8 weeks for DUI.
Oh, I know. I have jury duty starting next week too. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, at least I'll probably get a book out of that. But I did.
They don't need any other jurors. You're enough.
I know, that's right. I'm like, first of all, I'm like, innocent. Everyone's innocent. There's been too much oppression. Okay, innocent.
Oh.
I'll get disqualified right away. I did these classes, and you had to get up and tell your like personal story about your DUI. And I was like hiding in the back of the class. Like public speaking at that point made me want to just like, you know what I mean, curl up in a ball and die. And people were getting up each week to tell their story. And I would just like kind of sit in the back and be like, oh, don't call on me. Don't call on me. I can't get up. And then on the very last week of the class, I was the last one left. And I got up and I told my DUI story. And everyone was just laughing so hard. Like I had never been in front of an audience telling a story where I had felt that. And I was like, oh, this is so awesome. Like I can make people laugh like this. I had done it on, you know, personally with my friends and stuff, but never on a stage in front of, you know, more than like in front of even 20 people.
And that feeling inside your tummy, because the tummy is the first brain, that felt good.
Yeah, that felt great. And I wouldn't get off the stage. The guy who was running classes like, hey, what are you doing? This isn't stand-up. And everyone came up to me. Well, not everybody, but enough people came up to me and they were like, you should be a stand-up comedian. And I was like, huh. I'm like, a microphone on stage alone, no one else interrupting me. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea.
And so who gave you your first opportunity? Who gave you your first gig? How did you get it going?
I think I got it. I did a lot of stand-up and a lot of showcasing. I got a few development deals. Bob Greenblatt, who's a good friend of mine and an old friend of mine who's been in this business forever, had a production company at the time. And then he went on to run NBC and HBO. And he actually, he just left HBO Max, but that's where my new stand-up special is on.
I know, we're going to talk about that. Oh, yeah.
And he gave me my first development deal and for a sitcom. It didn't go anywhere, but it was a way for me to stop waitressing. And then I got another deal. And then I got a TV show called Girls Behaving Badly, which was like this hidden camera prank show where you would just do stupid shit and like play jokes on people, practical jokes. And so it just started to come together. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, as you know, but it happens when it starts to happen, you start to get one opportunity and then a bunch.
So then when did you know that you wanted to leave TV and go into more like, you did a special for Netflix? And when did you know you wanted to go into that route?
Well, I did my talk show, my first talk show, Chelsea Lately on E, for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And that was like, after I did that, that was just basically telling celebrities what was wrong with them, how stupid they were, calling people out for being idiots, being like, you know, and I was getting paid just to make fun of people and tear celebrities down, basically, which I was fine with. But after 8 or 7 years of talking about only TMZ and Just Jared and gossip and Lindsay Lohan,
to do something more substantial.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm too smart for this shit. Like, I've got to challenge myself a little bit more. And then I moved over. You know, I wanted to take a break, but then Netflix came around and they were like, "Hey, we would love to do something with you." And I thought, nobody was at Netflix at that time. Like, not in the way that people are now. You know, I was one of the first people.
You were one of the first.
Big deal there. And so I thought, oh, this is a cool place to be. E was like a little bit too cheesy. I thought I had outgrown it. And Netflix seemed more on my level. And I thought, oh, I'll go sit with the cool kids, you know?
And you can really say what you want to say and not be censored on Netflix.
Yeah. And I need to not be censored, obviously.
So then after Netflix or during Netflix, is that when the politics really become to seep into your life in a stronger way?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been political, but I was never, I mean, I've never been so outraged, you know? So I was doing my talk show at Netflix, and then the election happened. And when Trump was elected in 2016, I flew off the fucking handle. Like, I could not believe that we elected this baboon to office. I couldn't believe it. And, you know, I kept hearing the word elitist and the term elitist. I was like, that's not me. I'm from New Jersey. I'm not an elitist. My dad was a used car dealer. I came from nothing.
Yeah.
And then I realized I'm a total fucking elitist. That's exactly what I always tried to become, was an elitist, you know, to have a nice home or multiple homes and multiple, you know, I have things at my disposal that the average person doesn't. And so when I really, you know, looked at the situation with a therapist, like really got down to the bait, like really to talk about my anger towards Donald Trump, it really broke open.
So you really do you have to go work on this?
Oh, Naomi, I was walking into fucking airports. I'd go to the first class lounge. Then I'd go to the Fox News section and I'd walk over and go, hey, you fucking racist. Are you a racist who voted for Donald Trump? Then I'd run out. Then I'd calm down and I'd come back and I go, do you have a daughter? She's not going to have any rights. You want your daughter to not have any rights? Then I'd run out. Then I'd come back in and I go, are you still a racist? I mean, I was like, people at the airport, like my greeter, you know, famous people have greeters that walk them through the airport. We're too stupid to do it
we got those lovely greeters at LAX, right? We were very nice, by the way.
My greeters were like, dude, you can't assault people like in the airport lounge or accost them. I'm like, I just can't believe people would vote for this man. So I had to get that outrage down here so that I could even harness my outrage into something meaningful. You know what I mean?
Which you have.
Which I have, but it took a lot of work, and I went to therapy. And yeah, I went to therapy because of fucking Donald Trump. And thank God I did, because it was the best thing I've ever done for my personal growth and my self-awareness. And it brought me to a place where I was able to look at my privilege and I was able to see, okay, let's talk about what this term white privilege means. Yeah. Because as a white woman, I have my biggest audience is white women, you know? So if I'm questioning something and wanting to have a better understanding of it, those people are also probably questioning it and wanting to have a better understanding.
Right now with such a divide. So now we're on to, you've got a new special coming up on HBO Max. It's called Chelsea Handler Evolution. This is the first time you've done stand-up in 6 years, or?
Yeah, it's my first special in 6 years, yeah.
First special in 6 years.
I mean, I did a documentary, Hello Privilege. It's me, Chelsea. I wrote my last book, Life Will Be the Death of Me. Yeah, I decided after like reassessing everything, I didn't want to be on a show. I didn't like the responsibility of that. I wanted to do one project at a time instead of
in your own having time and space.
Yeah, having eight plates spinning all the time. It's like you're doing everything half-assed, not yet, and kind of mediocre. I wanted the integrity of my work to be reflected within the
I know exactly what you mean with that. Just focusing on one thing at a time. It's really true, and it's very important. So please tell us about the new show that's coming on HBO Max.
So the new show.
What can we expect?
It's basically about me going to therapy, finding out I was a cunt, and having to figure out how to uncunt myself. It was exactly what happened. I had to he gave me the gift of self-awareness to understand how I was coming across to people and how it wasn't necessary for me to.
Do we get to see you with your therapist?
Oh, no, but I tell you very deep personal stories about therapy, like verbatim, you know, and I told him, I gave him examples of my behavior, like when I'm at my worst. And I was like, listen, I don't know what to do about this, but also I think everyone's really fucking annoying. I think everyone is annoying. Everyone pisses me off.
The timing of this, it couldn't be more better, Chelsea, because I think a lot of people are going to get some help it sounds like going to get some help from hearing about your deep, intense sessions with your therapist over this particular subject matter. Because I think a lot of people have this and probably afraid to come out and say it. So
yeah, it's embarrassing, you know, and it's humiliating to share the worst parts about yourself, but it's also liberating and it's hilarious. And if you could listen, I've made a career out of being honest and oversharing my personal life. And now I have something of impact to say. And the special, I didn't want to go back to stand up until I had something meaningful to share. And now I had something meaningful to share. And it is the story of my therapy journey from start to finish, with all my drug use mixed in and all of my different pharmaceuticals and all of my drug stories, because those were part of therapy, and cannabis was a part of therapy too. That was like my gateway drug
So
to
you're
meditation.
not sober from everything?
No, I'm not sober, and I'm never going to be sober. No way. I love it. I love it all. I love drugs. But cannabis was a good pivot for me after the election, because, you know, outrage and alcohol is like not a good mix.
Yeah.
So pivoting when cannabis became legal in California, I was like, all right, let's get this show on the road. And then that was like my gateway drug to like meditation and sitting still and not bouncing off the walls like this all the time.
And
you know
really
what I mean?
just going into yourself and just coming to that quiet place.
Yeah, coming to my quiet place and sitting with my own feelings. You know, in my case, I had a brother that died when I was 9 years old. And I just thought that I had intellectually understood that, you know. And when we talked about my outrage, when my therapist, Dan, and I spoke about my outrage towards Trump, you know, it was clearly a trigger for me, because it represented what I found out through therapy. It represented the other time in my life that my life became unhinged. And that was when my brother looked me in the eye when I was 9 years old. He said, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I will never leave you alone with these people. And he was talking about my parents. And he went on a hiking trip and fell off a cliff and died 2 days after that. And for me, as a 9-year-old girl, I knew that he had an accident, but it was a rejection, because a 9-year-old girl thinks that you just told me you would come back and you lied to me. And then, you know, what happened with my family after that was a rejection, because everyone was in their own little corner of grief and none of us could comfort each other, because we were all just so, you know, we were so empty of anything. And my dad also, you know, he was never the same after my brother died. That was his firstborn son. It was the oldest guy in our family. His name was Chet. And I was the youngest and he was the oldest. So we were kind of.
But yeah, that's always going to be the closest.
And
sorry to hear that.
So that was like a huge aha moment. Like, oh, I have anger towards men because they've disappointed me. The two most important guys in my life, my dad and my brother, both disappointed me, even though it's not their fault. As a 9-year-old girl, I learned very early, don't trust men. They lie. They lie. You can't trust them. You have to be fierce. You have to be independent. I don't want any fucking buddy paying my bills but me. And I don't ever want to be dependent on another person in my life, because I can't.
Yeah. I'm there, right there with you on that one. But my deep condolences, even because I know what you mean about that rejection of being told as a child, I'll be back. It really means something. So you meant that you were coming back. And not in that way of death, that you had to lose your brother, but I understand what you mean. And it's and you can carry that. And we don't realize that we carry these things for so much long. Yeah,
and it's a blueprint, of course. And you know what? You think you can say it's, you know, it's delayed grief. I didn't deal with it at the time because I didn't have the tools and I didn't have the mental equipment. I was 9. So you could cover that up, that little injury or that big injury. You can keep covering it up and pretending it didn't happen. But eventually it's going to open up and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, now this doesn't work for you anymore. You need to deal with it. Now your life and your anger have become unmanageable.
Yeah. So before this HBO special, book, therapy, did you travel? You came to London because I saw you in London.
Oh yeah, we had a dinner party in London. Yes, I remember that. It was you, me, Rita Ora, Rob Delaney,
and Alexa. Yes. And that was fun. It was, you know, it actually makes a lot of sense when you're sitting around, in a cozy table with friends, you talk.
I love having dinner parties. I especially love to film dinner parties. You know, I just like that I used to do that on my Netflix show all the time. So yeah.
You think you'll do that again once we somehow? I also like that you were doing it and traveling around the world, because I think you can do it anywhere.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of traveling. So this whole COVID thing, you know, has been a real stick. I was saying to my friend the other day, I'm like, I can't complain about anything. I mean, look at my life, and I'm just upset that I can't travel. And she said, it doesn't matter, you know, if you live in a big house or a small house. Like if you get cut, it bleeds. Like we're all missing stuff that we have. And just because you're not suffering doesn't mean it doesn't suck, that we can't fucking go anywhere.
I mean,
That
we're
will fry us.
grateful for, grateful for what we have, loved ones. There's so many people out there in the world who, are not, getting the right attention of medical or mental or.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So there's definitely all that you're saying and said so far is very therapeutic. Did you mean to go in that direction of being therapeutic?
No, I didn't. I mean, I had to get my shit together for my own sake, because I just was like, okay, what am I doing with my life? What kind of contributions am I making? I don't want to just be a loudmouth and get checks for that. That's too easy. I want to make meaningful things. Like I want to put meaning into my work. And the 3 projects I did after therapy, I wrote my book, I did a documentary, and I did this special. And all 3 of those things have a different level, of thoughtfulness behind them. And they say something, and I stand for something. And for me, it's so important to stand for something. I don't have a lot of respect for people who aren't brave enough. I know that not everybody's brave, but I just feel like this moment is so important, and it's so.
Oh yeah.
It just, we want to show the goodness of what America is supposed to be. We've never been the country that we can be.
It seems like you have made empathy, you've made it comedic and humorous and funny. We need that.
Yeah, no, we definitely fucking needed that. I also I filmed this stand-up special during COVID because I wanted to bring some relief, and humanity to this time that we're all sharing. Mm-hmm. And so it was really important to go back east. I filmed it in my state of New Jersey outside, and we had to be COVID safe, and people had to sacrifice to be there.
Any school friends pop up? Any friends from back in the day?
No, not at this special. No. This was really, you had to be tested like multiple times. None of my friends would put up with that. Not even my family came to the taping of the special. I was like, leave me alone. I've had enough of you. After COVID, I've spent so much time with my fucking family. I'm like, you guys, we're good they were like, what are we doing for Christmas? I'm like, we're good. We've spent like 6 months together. Please. I'm like, I'm doing my own thing for Christmas. They're like, what about coming to Vermont? I'm like, fuck Vermont. I'm not skiing in Vermont. Okay. I'm going to a real ski resort.
Okay. Hold on a second. Can we address, switching to a big switch, your Twitter back and forth with 50?
Yes, we can. We can address it.
I mean, have you gotten him to go out and vote?
I spoke to him on the phone, and because I saw that tweet that he wrote about supporting Donald Trump, and I know 50 obviously because I slept with him for 2 months, but I know that he's not that type of guy. Like I just know
then why
he's
did
not.
He write it?
Because he screws around on his social media, and he's not always serious. So I reached out to him, and I said, because after it played out publicly for long enough, I said, please reach out to me. Like, please call me. I do want to talk to you about this. I just want to make sure that, that you are kidding. Like, how could you support this guy? Look what he's done to people, how much harm he's caused. Anyway, he said he was kidding. It was exactly what I thought. So we had a nice conversation the other night for like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And we talked about it. And, he asked me if I was serious about promising him sex. And I said, sure, why not? Like I'm ready to have sex with people.
Is he just like I don't know 50 very well. I've met him a few times, but is he like someone that just likes to do things for shock value, obviously?
I think so. Yeah. I think that's pretty much
but
where
that's not funny, 50.
That's what I told him. I go, listen, nothing's funny right now. Nothing's funny right
now. I mean, there seems to be a lot of rise in female comedians. And I mean, is there anyone that you mentor I asked that to Chris Rock when he came on. Is there anyone that you mentor that you've got your eye on that you feel like has got the real talent?
Rosebud Baker's a great up and coming comic, or Hannah Einbinder. There's some young people. I have a production company and a production deal at Universal. So we do develop. I have a Mo Welch, like this comic. I'm developing a show for her. Mm-hmm. I do want to always be working hard to support females in the business that I'm in.
Yeah.
you know, people of color, under marginalized communities. Like that is my goal in life, is to be an ally. You know, that's all I care about. So I want to make sure that I'm always servicing, you know, talent. You know, that was the great thing about
and giving the next generation an opportunity to
yeah,
your platform.
sure. And
it's
making
great
room.
that you've got them under your umbrella too, so you can really guide them.
Yeah, but it's also good to just share the space. You know, people seem to think that, especially with equality and equity, when we have conversations around these two topics, people seem to think that it's a zero-sum game, that there's not room for everyone, and that if equality means, you know, to many white people that they have to give something away, and it's like, no. That doesn't mean that you have to give something away. It means you're sharing space.
Sure.
The more
black,
that
white,
we
green,
share,
yellow, you have to share. It
right?
is important
Yes,
to share.
and that's a successful society.
Absolutely.
When we share each other. When you say, "Hey, I don't like," if I'm in a position where I don't, you know, I could do whatever I want pretty much right now, but I could also give my spotlight to other people. I can give that.
I understand you totally, and it's. I wish so many more people could understand. When you do it, it's like, oh, why are you doing that? For what reason? They want to. No, it's really, and I know you're for real. You're doing it from here. You want it, and there's no explanation for anyone, to be honest with you. That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that
thing. I mean, would you have right now in your life? I think you'd be great at this. Would you ever run for anything?
Oh God, no! I could never survive on that salary. I mean, Naomi, let's be serious right now, okay? I mean, I want to use my white privilege for good, but I'm not that devoted to go work as a congressperson. I mean, I would shoot myself if I had to deal with Republicans every day.
I could see you up in Capitol Hill, Chelsea.
Yeah, I would be a firestorm if I did it. Oh my God, people would be like, "Oh my God, here she comes."
This will crack them up from looking so like straight and like, you know,
right,
like a smile type of thing.
Yeah, I'd bring a big joint into Congress the first day and be like, let's all get on the same page, okay? Please.
Wouldn't that be lovely? So open them up a little bit.
I mean, that's just what our administration and what our Congress needs, is a little bit more drugs. You know, a little bit. Everybody needs to unwind a little bit and loosen up a little bit and have some more humanity.
Now, what I love about you, whenever we get these things in our group, it's like, you're done it. You're so good. You're pupil.
Oh yeah, we're on a political thread group together, so we always get marching orders, and we're like, yeah, I know what you mean.
So now, new shows coming up. I mean, there's so many, great and amazing things I think that's just going to come up from you from all of this, because it's just, we need your voice.
Well, and I think, listen, the important thing about this election is that so many people have started to use their voices since 2016. So many moms.
But for you, this is how you've always been. So
yes.
You're encouraging and you're giving people the strength and the, confidence to do so.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people got, really pissed off about Donald Trump, and mothers and women, and
Okay, so tell me, how's this day gonna? I mean, we're not gonna find out today. We're not gonna find out today, Chelsea.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
Tell me how you think this is gonna work out. Give me your synopsis of the results and what's coming.
I think that there could be I think if Ohio comes in, Ohio has all their ballots to count on election day. So we'll get the results of Ohio today. So when we know about Ohio, that'll be a good indicator, because if Biden wins Ohio, then there's not going to be a lot of talk about, if the votes are so overwhelmingly against Donald Trump, there's going to be less room for them to cheat and maneuver and to stop counting ballots. So that's why we just have to overwhelmingly vote. That is the only way to make it a open and shut case. So what we can expect, if some of these states are close, like Pennsylvania or Florida, we can expect, a redo of what happened with Bush and Gore. And, that
I remember that when he had to concede, my God.
And we have a Supreme Court now that is, gonna vote. Well, I don't know for sure, but it looks like they would do the same thing again. And we don't have our presidents elected by the Supreme Court. We have our presidents elected by the people of the United States of America. And, you know, one other thing to remember is that there are 11 pieces of legislation, 11 bills that have been passed that Mitch McConnell has. I mean, there's hundreds of bills that passed that Mitch McConnell won't send to the Senate floor, but 11 that are about, you know, a new Civil Rights Voting Act, to reinstate the Civil Rights Voting Act of 1965, to pay women equally, for equality. There are 11 bills that have to do with healthcare and equality for all people in the United States. These bills, if we can flip the Senate, though, all of this legislation will be passed within the new year. So it's.
Don't you think we're going to get the result tonight? I want to say election week.
Yes,
I'm going to go with
I think that's correct. Yeah. I don't think we can expect a result on the day. I think we have to be patient. And that's something also we should, you know, impress upon everyone. We are not going to let anyone call the election early. Every vote must be counted.
Now tell me this. If we win, I say we because I live in the United States.
If we win, you want to go on vacation together, Naomi?
Oh, yeah.
Bora. Here we go.
Oh, that would be heaven. Okay, so if we win, what could be the worst from the 3rd of November through to the January 21st? Because that's a fear. That's like a real worry.
Yeah, I mean, I think Donald Trump is going to
can amount. We don't want chaos. We need to do things in calm. And that's a worry to me.
That is a worry for everybody. And, you know, Donald Trump is not a good loser. We know that. So if he loses bigly, to use one of his favorite words, he will take us down with him. He'll try to tear democracy down and try to incite violence in the streets and riots. And we just have to stay calm and not participate in that. We don't need to take to the streets unless this election is being stolen.
Don't fall for the bait. Don't fall for the bait. People.
Right. And so we have to just wait. We have to wait it out.
Count your days. Count the days. That's when they're going to need Chelsea's Handler's show on HBO Max, because that's going to help people so much in that particular period.
Yeah, in that particular period. Exactly.
It could not be more perfect, Chelsea. Chelsea Handler, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything you want to tell people? Because I said it at the top of the show, but take it away, because if they haven't voted.
Yeah, if you haven't voted, vote. And also, I would like to say to everybody that it is your responsibility as an American citizen to also consider what other people who don't look like you go through on a daily basis. It is our work as a country to start to do the work that should have been done hundreds of years ago, to dismantle this white supremacy that we live in and these institutions. We have to dismantle this. And if you're a white person who doesn't see racism, then that's your privilege to not see racism. Look out for it. Look out for discrimination.
How they could start to dismantle it? I truly think they have to go. It has to go to a court. It has to be in a court of law in some way where it's completely then abolished, where it becomes a crime if people do this.
A crime to be racist. It becomes a crime to be racist. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. And we should be. Yeah, well, we should also start talking about reparations for Black people. We should talk about what are we going to do to make it up to an entire society that we abused and stole them from their families and then chain them up and force them to build this economy that we have now and are still oppressing Black people. We have to fucking fix that.
And when they did build the economy, when we did in Wall Street in Oklahoma, what did they do to it? Burnt it down. Yeah.
Which is also a great show on HBO, guys. Watchmen, The Watchmen, which is set. It starts with the old Tulsa, the riot and the slaughter in Tulsa of 1921.
Is that the one Regina King's in?
Yeah, that's also on HBO Max, you guys. That's fucking awesome, and you should watch it.
Do you hear that, folks? The Watchmen. But we are talking about Chelsea's show. I think your show is very important timing. I think it's going to be very helpful to thousands of people, because this period, if all goes right and the Blues win, this is going to be a period of really having to have self-restraint, to really go within yourself and stay calm until the 21st of January.
Yeah, amen to that, sister. You look beautiful, Naomi, as always. You always look so
Chelsea,
beautiful.
I can't thank you enough for your time. Thank you for coming on No Filter. I know you're really busy, and I just admire you, respect you, and please keep speaking your truth, because you inspire us all, including me, to keep speaking mine. When I see you the way you're like a No Filter guest. Couldn't be more better than Chelsea. You got no filter, and I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I don't have a filter, so everybody needs to deal with it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye, honey. Love you. Bye.
I love you too. Bye, my darling. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, so you heard it here, Chelsea Handler, how important it is to get yourselves out to vote. If you haven't done so, I suggest just go now. It is not too late. You have, and we all have, a voice in the world. Everyone has a voice in the world. Everyone belongs from somewhere. Even if I'm not American, that's where I live. I care about what's going on there. And it does affect the rest of the world. So let's hope for a great outcome. As we said, you're not going to probably hear it tonight unless Ohio swings. So until then, please like my video, and thank you for joining No Filter Today election special with Chelsea Handler, and we will see you next week. Let's be optimistic.